5 days and counting. Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to the eastern wing of the Stinkbug Works. Got a bunch of stuff to talk about. I like to peruse eBay and see if there's any particularly good deals. And I came across this. Do any of you recognize this? If you don't, I will enlighten you. This is a very an early production Aveox 14062Y. It still had the Hall sensor in it and the sticker that said, we got the E-Series high torque rotor. And the cogging on this thing is incredible. I cannot turn it over by hand on this 1/8 inch shaft. Now check out this shaft. The rotor was actually built around a 5mm rotor. But at the time, now remember, this motor is from 1980 through 1990, around there. This motor at the time was like the top of the top of the top of the top. Only a few people even knew that such things as brushless motors even existed. And what they did to accommodate the model field is, rather than changing all the rotors around and putting, smaller shafts in them and smaller bearings, they just turned down the end of the shaft 1/8 of an inch, and they said, okay, there you go. You want 1/8 inch shaft? There's your 1/8 inch shaft. So this motor I found brand new in the box, never run, never had any solder applied to any of the leads. It's a 3,000 RPM per volt motor, which is a perfect 3S. You could push it to 4S. I wouldn't want to run it a long time. Its only shortcoming that I can see is it may need a custom water jacket, because I think the stainless steel shell that Dave Palumbo, what was Matt's last name? God, I don't remember Matt's last name, but Matt and Dave made these. They were Aveox. And they also made aerospace motors and the like, and they have since gotten out of the RC industry. It was too much time and trouble for the amount of money it made. Because, let's be real honest, back then, the geeks that were seeking the highest power, all the racers, they used this, but very few other people did. Everybody was running brushed motors of this same size and half the power. These are still excellent motors by today's standards, because these were really efficient. Steve New got his interest in electric motors from Dave Palumbo over at Aveox. Steve had experimented around. He was one of the very first with electric motors at all. I remember in his shop he had an Astro 05 and a Leisure 15. And they were both, Chinese Mabuchi motors. So this I picked up for $40. In today's world, this is a $200 motor. So when I see a deal like that, brand new, never run, $40? You bet. There's a boat out there somewhere that will work real well with that. And I might be pushing, this one is probably pushing 22 to 25 inch. Oh, it would make a 1/16 scale fly. 1/16 scale might be almost too small for it. Moving on to the next topic, the Swifter. I want to get more weight forward, and to that end, these are the batteries that I was running in there. Now these are just, cheapo eBay batteries that I picked up that would fit in the cavities. And we have a total of 15.5 ounces. These other batteries just happen to be the same exact size, and why they're 5 ounces heavier. That's 25% heavier. They're also much better batteries and higher capacity. It's the same case. It's what they put in the case. This probably has some air in the case. This probably has far, far less air in the case. That's how they do that. Next time I'll run it with that, that's going to move 5 ounces up forward. So that'll move my CG forward a little bit. I think that might help with how flighty it appeared to be on the sponsons. I've also dropped the strut a little bit to get the back end out. But I think the CG will help quite a bit. So let's see. I've touched on Aveox. I've pulled out that's how old this was. These were all censored back then. Sensorless controllers had not been invented. And the Germans were the first ones. And there was, what was his name? Schulze was doing one, and a guy named Contronics was making another one. And so I still have an old Contronics. You could actually run two brushless motors on one Contronics controller. Now, they didn't always start up perfectly. Sometimes you'd get one motor started and the other would just be going. And so that's that. Anyway, now I've covered everything. Until next time, boys and girls, jut out. Attention, boys and girls. I forgot the most important thing in today's exciting episode. The time standings in the challenge that ends in 5 days. Now I know what college professors go through when they have an assignment and everybody's waiting to the last minute. Anyway, I heard it through the grapevine that Kobe at J&R Marine wants to know the times to beat. Well, Kobe might be the guy to beat everybody's time because he's got little tiny hydroplanes which can make little tight corners, yet they go real quick down the straights. So real quick down the straights and a good tight corner means you might be able to beat Jim's time of 1 minute and 16 seconds to do 10 laps. That's 76 seconds. That's 7.6 seconds per lap. I honestly think somebody should be able to cut that in half, because Jim wasn't even half trying. He was just kind of cruising around saying, hey, check this out, you know. He wasn't really getting down and dirty. Remind me sometime to tell you about Tom Aberley when it comes to racing and getting down and dirty. Anyway, minute 16's the time to beat. The slowest time thus far is 4 minutes and 28 seconds. And that was kind of fun to watch. It was a little jet jam kind of chugging along. But, you know, it did 10 laps. So that's part of the challenge. There you go. A little trailer for Kobe. Until next time, boys and girls, jet out.